us in the invocation.
Sure, let's pray. Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to join, as always, as a group tonight, God. Lord, we thank you for the rain today and change of seasons and the summertime that's quickly approaching, God. And we thank you so much for that. God, we ask you just as we enter into the next few seasons of the city, I ask you, Lord, just let it be full of energy and a lot of good events and a lot of fun and good for the city. God, I ask you, Lord, just continue to be with the city as we move through this year and be with the people that support it on a day-to-day basis. And God, I ask you to be with the meeting tonight. Let the things discussed be for the benefit of the cities and those people that live within it. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. You all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will let you guys be looking at the agenda, and I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Lilly.
Here.
Mizell.
Here.
Rustin.
Here.
King. Here. Phillips.
Here.
Mayor Mitchell.
Here. Okay, give you a few more seconds to look over the agenda. Pretty standard. Not a great deal on the agenda tonight. All right, moving on. First item is, as usual, is a consent agenda, which is an approval of the minutes of the March 19th regular council meeting. The council has copies of the minutes. They've had an opportunity to review those. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If there are no changes, let the record show the minutes have been approved by unanimous consent of the council. And we'll go to the department head reports. Fire department's not here today. I went over this thing today, and pretty much everything's tracking to plan. Johnny had submitted this with a yellow for the budget, saying that it was behind budget. But the thing that's been driving him to be behind budget was the firefighters grant, and we were not awarded that grant. And the budget had that included in the revenue. That was $700,000 with a corresponding $700,000 for a new pumper truck. So those two things will just offset themselves. We'll have to postpone it. So the rest of his budget is looking in pretty good shape. The other item up there is the staffing and deals with the SAFER grant. We have a new, I guess I'm not sure what their title is, but the person that we deal with at the at FEMA, which is for the SAFER grant, and he and I have a phone call tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. It's sort of an introductory phone call, so we'll talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we're having, and hopefully he'll be able to offer some advice and guidance and that sort of thing. So other than that, everything is pretty much on track as far as fire department's concerned.
Is the pumper truck what he needs next? Is that what
Yes,
he needs?
that's what they had put in there. You know, and it all has to do with the age of our equipment. We need to get it updated for the ratings that we get for ISO, the Insurance Services Organization, which it potentially affects people's homeowners insurance, is largely driven on the equipment side of it by the age of your newest major vehicle. And I forget what the age is, but it's pretty old. And it's like 20 years old as our newest vehicle, or maybe it's 15, I can't recall. But anyway, so that was the piece of equipment that we decided that we needed, was a new pumper truck to update that. It's my understanding from the last ISO visit too, because we have, we actually are well stocked as far as quantity of vehicles, even though the fleet is kind of old, but they're in good shape, and they look at the maintenance of them, and that sort of offsets a little bit that age thing. So we didn't take a hit. Our overall rating was 3, and I'm not aware of a volunteer, maybe one, but I'm not aware of a volunteer fire department in the state that has a rating higher than 3.
So the larger engine is newer than the pumper truck, you say? Or that's not the pump truck, is it?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure I really know the answer to that.
The black one is the newest one.
Oh, good.
I don't know the age. The reason I say that is because that was bought last term, 2 terms ago.
I think it was 2 terms ago, maybe.
Yeah, so it's got to be the newer one of the fleet, but I don't know. It's not a pumper truck. I don't think.
Yeah, so it's, you have your major pieces of equipment and then you have your response vehicles. We can go get the grant and I can look at it and it gives you the application and it gives you the ages of all the vehicles and I can answer your question then.
All right.
Okay, any other questions? Library?
Okay, we've really, kind of continued on. Our traffic is increasing a little bit at a time, but we had an estimate of 1,152 visitors for the month of March. As I said, that number's climbing up, so we're excited about that. We provided $52,634 worth of services in the month of March. That is up from last year. I ran the numbers just to see exactly how my numbers were, because according to the numbers, we did $10,000 more than we did last year in March. So we're doing really good. And of course, with the number of visitors, we're also going to do more circulating. We have about 14 attending the computer class for Spanish speakers. We really did want to put a max of 8 on that, but the person who is teaching it has kind of gone with the flow as the need arises. So she is really maxed out at 14. We still have room in our beginners computer class. We do have 3 right now. So if you know of anyone that wants to learn the basics with computers or anything like that, just send them our way and we'll get them going. And the beginner's computer class is going to be Thursday from 3:30 to 4:30.
Do we have enough hardware to support the 14 or is she breaking them up?
She actually has talked with them. They are bringing their own devices. So we don't have to worry about funding for them or anything like that. She is doing it out of the goodness of her heart. So we're really excited that she is actually partnering with the library as a patron in the community. So, because I said, do you want to pay? She said, no, I'm good. So, but we're really excited to have her as part of the community. And as I said, we still have room in the beginners computer classes.
Well, I agree. I think we're all excited about that. So,
Okay.
any other questions for Jennifer? Okay. I get to do this one too because Dale's not here, so I spoke with him today. So no injuries, his budget's looking good. We budgeted for the entire amount of the sewer project grant. And what we've basically been doing thus far is engineering work and the engineers have been going through and working with ADEM on through the various approvals and whatnot. So we finally just got approval from ADEM to actually go ahead and solicit a bid for that work. The reason I bring that up is we're not gonna be able to spend all that money. And the way it works is we incur the cost, they reimburse us, incur the cost, they will reimburse us. So Dale's will be, since we budgeted for that entire amount this year, we'll be way over, he'll be way under budget, if you will. Sewer lines, so staffing, he's still trying to get a grade 2 operator. As we upgrade and because there are some potential changes coming along from ADEM as far as requirements, we may have a requirement in the future for a grade 2 operator, and he's staffed pretty thin anyway, so we've been advertising for that for a long time, and that's a difficult position to fill. Sewer lines are in fair condition, so I spent a lot of time picking his brain today about what does that mean, fair condition? And so 40% of the sewer lines are good condition. They've been recently replaced or upgraded, if you will. And about 60% of them are aging and will require some sort of repair or replacement in the future. And Dale has a plan on how he's gonna take care of that. But until he gets to 60% or more, he's gonna keep it at, his rating is at fair. And they're also working on some of their training. There's some classes that a couple of them need to go to. And then one is doing some online training, or, yeah, I guess it's online, but he's preparing to take exams. And the work for the actual upgrade to the sewage treatment plant is out for bids. And it's the whole kit and caboodle, it's the whole thing to one contractor. Hopefully we will get responsive bids and be able to do it that way. That's about all I know about that. Questions? My lucky day, I got to do 2 of those today. Okay, Community Affairs and Senior Services.
All right, so this past Saturday, the beautification board did some planting on Main Street. I think there's still more to come, but they did a lot of that on Saturday, and Main Street did some cleaning up and some window decorating. Touch a Truck is April the 20th. Kyle Mims and Main Street put that on. And then on May the 5th, the National Main Street is having their conference in Birmingham this year. It's called Birmingham Now. And so the National Main Street Association will send a tour bus to Columbiana, Montevallo, and Calera to do a tour of Columbiana. So they're coming through Columbiana on the 5th of May. I think they'll be here in the later part of the afternoon. So they'll end the tour that day in Columbiana. The senior center served about 1,050 meals in March. They have a trip coming up for the city market. It's a lunch buffet place in Pill City. And then the Shelby County Senior Picnic is the 24th of April. They have moved that. They typically do that in June. And they're doing some new things this year, so that is in April.
Where is it this year?
It is at the Expo Center. So.
That's right.
Old Mill, the Green Hall, there's lots of rentals in April, lots more to come in May. Their Showing of the South is here at the Black Box at the Arts Council on Sunday. I think there's still a few tickets left for that. And then there's a Crosby, Stills and Nash cover band playing at the Art Council as well this month. So that's what we got.
How old do you have to be to go to the senior picnic?
Would you are more than welcome to come as a volunteer. But you really only have to be 55. Actually, I don't think you made that since you're like 30. So,
In my mind.
in my mind too. We're all gonna pretend.
All right. Any questions for Alan? Board, did the library board meet?
No, they met in February.
Okay, I need to get my calendar up to date. That's the reason why I put the question mark on there. I'm not sure when you guys
Well,
are meeting, so
We
give
will
me
be
a call.
meeting in 2 weeks,
Okay,
so at the next city council, I should have a.
well, the next council meeting is next week,
Well-
because we slid this one, so.
my
But
next-
yeah, if you could just give me a call, help me get my calendar up to date there.
Will do.
Okay, thanks.
Beautification board met,
Oh, okay.
and, we want to encourage everyone that can to please come on May 5th for a cleanup day. We want to make sure the streets are clean, everything looks nice before the Main Street people come in on that Sunday. Also, we have our Liberty Day pageant on the 20th, and the last day to register for that is Friday.
How did I miss that? Woo, sorry.
And the last day register is on Friday, you can do that online or contact me or Ally. We also had have a new board member, Her name is Michelle Colburn, and, she came to us interested, and Fran had to back off a little, cause she's having a lot of things going on.
Mhm.
And so, we are gonna replace her with Michelle if everybody's in agreement with that. And other than that, that's all we got.
What's our appointment process for the beautification board? Do we vote on that? Do you wanna nominate her?
I think we just recommended, yeah, just not, we nominate Michelle Colburn to replace Fran.
Okay. So my point is that a board, that is a, council appointment, right?
It is.
Okay.
So if she nominates.
So is there a second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
We'll take anybody that wants to be on.
Oh, no, don't say that. You've got somebody you know who's gonna be good and helpful.
Yes,
Now,
that's true.
going back, I spent a lot of
Yes.
time talking to Lisa last week about some of the flower bed plans on Main Street. And, you know, a lot of the crepe myrtles have been removed and there's root structure. I learned something from her. I haven't actually followed up with Alan. It's not that I don't believe her, but I was gonna query him anyway. But apparently when the Main Street project was done, a long time ago with the sidewalk expansion and the diagonal parking, changed to parallel, when those flower, beds were put in, they were literally just put in on top of the old pavement, so you don't have very much dirt there, you have pavement under there. And so that's a problem for the root structure for anything like a tree. And of course, we had some issues with some of those roots from the crepe myrtles causing some problems as well. She was looking at having somebody come out and, well, wanted to talk to Alan about the city removing the stumps, okay? And we're gonna probably have to cut them and won't be able to get all of those roots, if you will. And then she was gonna look to have somebody come in and basically till up the soil, add some new topsoil and maybe mix some compost in it, so. And she showed me her plan that she'd come up with as far as basically some low maintenance shrubbery to put in there, and then you brighten it up with seasonal color, if you will. Unfortunately, the gentleman that she had talked to about possibly coming in and doing the work on the soil is not gonna be able to do it. So my whole point to all this is I think they're in an unfinished condition and it's gonna be a while, hopefully not too long, because and I told Lisa, and told her I was gonna follow up with Alan, which I haven't done yet, that he needs to come up with a plan on removing the stumps, and then we'll come up with a plan, whether we have somebody do it, or the city has to do it, or volunteers have to do it, for redoing the soil in those planters, so that then the beautification board can come back and do their things.
Well, when we were planning Saturday, there were some guys working on North Main,
As far as
already
the
starting
roots.
to.
Good.
pull those out.
So she's ahead of me, she went ahead and did talk to Alan about that, that's good, but, yeah, okay. All right.
And I love the windows too, y'all did a great job,
More, yeah, they did a great job.
yes.
Okay, any other questions for the beautification board? Okay, so this is a resolution to sign a contract for the senior center grant. Ally, you wanna tell us a little bit about the grant?
So this is a grant that Shelby County does on an annual basis. It's usually for $2,500, but Kim and I went to this special meeting that got us $1,000 more, so.
Great, thank you both.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So we will use this to replace, some tables at the senior center. Those round tables, they just wear out because, you know, seniors, when they get up, they use them like to brace themselves and they just get shaky over time. So those will replace some tables, to add some new card tables, and some storage, some cabinet storage, so that we can have some places to put things, cause we're running out of storage. But yeah, so that's what that will do.
Okay. Any questions for Ally about the purpose for the grant or any issues relative to the signing the contract? Okay, is there would someone like to introduce the resolution?
I'll introduce resolution 04-2401, authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with Shelby County for 2024 Senior Center grant.
Second.
Okay, and I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Lilly?
Yes.
Mizell?
Yes.
Liston?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes. Okay, so the resolution's been authorized, and I'll be signing that when, tomorrow, or today?
Tonight, tomorrow?
Tonight, okay. Okay, proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month. We've got representatives here from Owen's House, so would you like to tell us a little bit about Child
Sure.
Abuse Prevention
Sure.
Month?
I'm Laurel Teal. I'm the director at Owens House, which is the Shelby County Children's Advocacy Center. So we serve all of Shelby County. We assist law enforcement and DHR when there's an allegation of child abuse. So we work with all our different municipalities, including Columbiana and the chief, which we appreciate them very much. They do a great job. And I've got my three accomplices here. The hardest working and best coworker, who is Fitzgerald. He's
We've
taking
met
that,
Fitz.
which is his dog, and then Tanya Willingham, and then Kathy Hitt. She's actually on our board, and she owns a farm company on Main Street. We help almost 400 children and their families every year in Shelby County. Not only do we provide the forensic interview that the investigators use for their cases, but we also do follow-up counseling and family advocacy and try to wrap our arms around each and every family that comes in as they're dealing with a unique crisis that is something that we hope to never experience in our lives ever. And so I work with really special people who really care about the kids in Columbiana and greater Shelby County. And we just thank y'all for your support and your partnership in, recognizing this month as Child Abuse Prevention Month, and just encourage you to brush up on your signs of child abuse, how you can recognize it, and then reporting places like DHR and law enforcement, just to keep our community safer and so that they have a chance to heal and become productive members of society as well. So, thank y'all, and do y'all want to say anything? Yeah? Okay, well, cool. Do y'all have any questions for me about what we do, or any for Fitz?
So your process starts from DHR or law enforcement? Is
Yeah,
that-
so we come into play whenever a report is made,
Right.
and so that they will reach out to us and schedule an appointment for a forensic interview, which is just a child-friendly interview, just to get the statement from the child about what happened. And it's also in a child-friendly environment. The kids don't understand a lot of times. The younger kids don't understand why we don't have beds in the bedrooms. There are offices, because Owen's House, if you've ever been there, it looks just like a house. It's built like a house. And so the atmosphere is very calm and inviting. We have a TV and sofas. It kind of feels like you're going to grandma's house. It's just so that the kids don't have to go down to the police station to be questioned by a detective, or go to DHR and be questioned by a social worker. They can do it all at one time while our team watches in a different room on a TV, a closed circuit television. So they're seeing in real time what's going on, and then they can, if the forensic interviewer forgets to ask a question, for example, they can take a break, and those investigators can tell them, hey, get me more information on the suspect, or whatever. What was he wearing? What did he look like? Things like that. And then DHR is obviously, they're looking to assess the safety of the family, and so they can ask questions about that as well during the interview. So, and then we copy that onto a DVD, and it's part of the case file. And then we go on from there, and we follow up with the family the week after, and we invite them back for counseling. We check in to see how they're doing. Do they need any assistance with utilities? A lot of times, the offender is the breadwinner in the family. If it's a biological father who lives at home, you're dealing with a spouse who's lost their income, their insurance, every sort of way. So abuse really just, it wrecks the entire family unit. And we know from research that 90% of the kids that we see know their offender. It's someone that they know, it's not a stranger. And so that's unfortunate. We are seeing a lot of uptick with teenagers and middle schoolers with their phones. They're meeting people online and they are exploiting them. And so we just ask that everybody remember to practice phone safety, digital safety with your children. Treat your phones as an extension of their body, because what's happening is we're seeing kids as young as 8, 9, and 10 sending unclothed pictures of themselves to people that they meet on the internet. And so that's how they end up at Owen's house, which we're really glad that they have a place to go. But if we could be worked out of a job, then that would be great as well. So thank y'all again.
Yeah, it's a wonderful facility, and we're proud to have it in Columbiana, and we appreciate what you guys do. So, on behalf of the city of Columbiana, we will proclaim this as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Proclamation reads, whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone in our community, and whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of Columbiana, Alabama, and whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects for victims of abuse, and whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the meaningful connections and partnerships created between child welfare, education, child advocacy centers, health, community, and faith-based organizations, business and law enforcement agencies, citizens, and whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to social and emotional well-being of children and families and a safe and stable, nurturing environment. So we proclaim this as Child Abuse Prevention Month. I don't think we require a vote on that. So, okay? Thank you.
Can we take a picture before we leave?
Yes, you
With
can.
you guys in the photo? Would y'all mind?
So I was doing it the hard way.
It's kind of a long
I'm
proclamation.
good.
Sorry, man.
It is.
Did you write it?
I didn't know. It's standard nationally, so.
Okay.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's the
Thank you so
official
much.
So, should we go down there and get a picture done?
Marry me.
So, yeah, let's do that. Instead of us all standing up here.
That way Fitz can.
Yeah, we'll get Fitz in the picture, hopefully.
She said she just wants to see Fitz. Everybody does, don't worry. When I said he's my favorite coworker, I didn't lie. He's the best at his job, honestly.
All right, so why don't we do it this way? Why don't we
Oh yeah, let's open
open it up?
it. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Say when.
Allie, tell us we.
Cheese or
Get you
something.
guys all in. Ready? All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, Fitz was smiling. So that's good.
All right, way to go, Fitz.
Fitz said he was supposed to
Way
be
to go,
on words
buddy.
an hour ago. Thank you guys, we appreciate y'all.
Don't forget to go get your physician.
Oh yeah,
Feel
Fitz
better.
and
Chino's and
Enjoying some stuff.
And also, I commend everyone for making downtown better, because if you work in Columbiana, like we have a place to have reprieve and like go to Blue Agave
Sure.
and just sit and have chips and cheese dip, and it's the best. So thank you.
Well,
Yeah, and
Thank
thank
the
y'all for
business
letting
owners.
us paint the town blue, so we appreciate
So
y'all.
as you're leaving it, so Fitz is not considered a service dog, so he can't be petted, right? Or he's a service dog, but he
He's
can't be
a,
petted.
he's a certified as a facility dog because he works in a service facility, but he knows all of the troops and commands that a service dog does.
But he can't
And
be.
yeah, you can, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he can be pet, for sure. It's always good to ask Tanya,
is,
but, you know,
Depends on the day, right? Yeah.
yes. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
okay,
Send us that picture.
Have you ever seen these rooms? Have you ever seen these?
Are you hugging me?
Oh, yeah.
all right, so the next item on the agenda is this discussion on the Harmon lease. We talked about it at our last work session, but we barely had a quorum, so, and I think was hard to tell, which direction, the council leaned. So this, you don't need to read this, it's in your, there was a copy of it, it's in their package here anyway. So this is a draft lease that Bill Justice had done up. And the concept is basically this. Mr. Harmon would like another 25 feet of property, which, you know, he had wanted to purchase the entire parcel over here. Then he said, well, can I purchase 25 feet? And we basically decided, especially considering where we were going with our vision plan, that we wanted to keep that property. And so the consultant from Orchestra Partners says, well, why don't you give it to them as in exchange for a right of first refusal? Well, there was some concern about giving the property so that if we didn't exercise that right of first refusal, then the city wouldn't get that 25 feet back. So the lease option was the next thing, say basically leasing it in exchange for that right of first refusal. And the conditions of the lease, it would be leased until the joint owners of the property pass away or sell their property, whichever one of those comes first. And then at that time, the lease would expire and the property would revert back to the city of Columbiana. In order for us to do this, in addition to us voting to say, yeah, we'll lease the property in exchange for that right of first refusal under the terms that I just outlined, we also have to declare that 25 feet of property as surplus and that it's not needed by the city of Columbiana at the present time. And it's been there for about, I can't remember, about 15 years ago, maybe a little longer, we purchased the property from the Methodist Church. So
What does he plan to do with it?
he wants to build a workshop, a little shed or something on there. And what we put in this lease, in this small print that you can read in your package, is that he can't do anything with the property that's not allowed under the R1 zoning ordinances. And if, you know, the property reverts back to us, he'll either have to remove whatever structure he puts on it, or it would become the property of the city of Columbiana. And I think his intent was to put something up there that would be easy for him to either disassemble or move.
Would the deed of the property change?
No, it'd be a lease. We would have to, you know, draw it up like a small parcel, so we're gonna, and that's nothing more than take the description of the property that we already have and then just say, and then this 25 feet will be leased.
Okay. I went out to work session, so I had a couple questions. So actually I answered one of them. The, what is that? It's the deed. Is there a clause, and I read about the deceased of the joint property owner, whatever. What was I gonna say? Totally lost my train of thought. Oh, with all leases, is there agreement in there? I read it and I couldn't find it if it's in there to where, like for instance, if, you know, we sign an agreement on May 1, June 30, we decide we want to do something with that property. Is there a thing in there within 30 days we get ownership of that property back?
Do we have the right to take it back? It's not in there. No.
Yeah. Because I mean that's a real life scenario. I think. I mean, if in the event that, you know, we want to build up building back there on that whatever, I think that would be an important, in my mind, thinking through that it would be a versus if not, we don't have access to that piece until forever. You know,
No.
well, whatever.
Probably 10 years max, but.
Yeah, but that was just a thought that a question that I had to where if we get 30 days notice, could the property be vacated in terms of doing?
Well, then, we certainly could put that in there.
Yeah.
If I were him, I wouldn't sign it because he wants to put a
Yeah.
workshop on it, and then it would, he would have to get rid of that, so.
Well, from a personal standpoint, if it were me, if I knew it was gonna revert back, I wouldn't do that.
What?
Build a building on someone else's property.
I don't think he's planning on building, like it's awesome structure. I think it's just a little workshop. I don't know how big, I haven't asked him or to give us any plans or anything like that for it. We can certainly do that. But, you know, people make leasehold improvements to lease property all the time, including putting buildings and structures on them. But, you know, this is, I don't think gonna be anything extravagant. I think might be a 12 by 12, or who knows, shop. I don't know how big he plans to put it. We don't have to make a decision about this, but, you know, if the sentiment is one way or the other, then we will have to, you know, do an ordinance to declare that property for the duration of the lease as surplus, and then, the resolution to enter into the lease agreement.
I mean, I don't want him to pass or anything, but, you know, when the time does, we're all gonna go, but even if we didn't have first refusal rights, I mean, if we wanted it, we'd probably could buy it anyway, because they're gonna offer whatever price they want for it, for the
I'm not
property,
sure I follow.
for the property. Is that what you're talking about?
They being who?
The Harmon, us, the city.
They're not wanting to buy this piece of property.
Yeah, but we're getting the first right of
We're getting the
refusal.
right of first refusal to buy their property.
Yeah, that's right. So, but even if we didn't have that, I think if they put X amount of dollars on it, we could still probably buy the property if we wanted to.
We could, but somebody might buy it first. In other words, if they accept, if they put the property up for sale, or maybe they, and they don't have to publicize it, obviously, they could put the property up for sale, and then they could enter into a contract for somebody to buy it. If we don't have right of first refusal, we can't come in there and break that contract, if you will. So if we have right of first refusal, then their contract would have to be contingent on our saying, yeah, we're willing to pay the price that those people offered you for.
Which we don't have a clue what the price would be that they're gonna want for it.
No,
anyway.
that's true, but like
And
I
that would be
said,
with anything, but, yeah.
and we
are
would just,
gonna be
we
able
would
to?
just decide we don't want it, you know, if it's not a fair price.
Which would mean if we don't want the property, the little strip that we would lease to them
Comes back to
won't
us.
happen yet.
Comes back to us. So this lease basically says, when the joint property owners, pass, the property comes back to us. Or if they sell their property, it comes back to us. So whichever one of those comes first. If they sell it, comes back to us. If they pass away, it comes back to us, either one.
I would just say, hate for him, for his family or whoever. Let's say they decided to keep the property when they pass. And,
But when they pass, the 25 feet comes back to us regardless.
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't have built the building on my neighbor's property in between my home and my neighbor, knowing that it could be torn down. Actually, I wouldn't build it
But
because.
that's him.
Yeah, I know.
It's not you.
But I also, I'll just give an example. Years ago, I voted for a guy not to get a job because I said, man, it's gonna hurt you to take it. Because you've already got a great job, you're taking less money. It is crazy because you're gonna lose money. So, I don't know if it's gonna be if it would just be like a metal tin building you're sticking in, a big, like you would put a lawnmower in, but make it a shop. I probably wouldn't have a problem with that, but I would hate it for him if he built a block structure, you know.
Well, again, I have spoken to him, and he intends to build something that he can take that. That was what he said to me. Now, unless we put it in this lease, we can't specify that that's what it has to be, but
Well, and I'm still too of the same opinion, you know, I have been, that we're needing parking for court, and that continue to be one of my
yeah.
main
I just,
concerns.
as I've said before, that's not the right place to put parking for court. The right place to put parking for court is in the area between, the parking lot that we currently have for the police department and the fire department.
I mean, I think that's a great spot back there, for one. We have quite a few people, we have a lot of cars everywhere when it's court, right? Plus the fact that they were still parking along here where they were told not to park and got in trouble because they're hunting somewhere to park. So I still stand on the parking myself.
Well, I mean,
But that's just my opinion.
again, we would still be able, if we wanted to build a parking lot there, if we thought we were gonna do that within the next 10 years without that 25 feet, so, but,
And I'm sure they hope it's another 30 years.
well, I'm sure they do too, and
Sure. That means they live longer.
all right, so do we need to bring this up for, a vote at the next council meeting? All right, we'll bring it up for a vote at the next council meeting, and that way we can clear it off the agenda, one way or the other. Okay?
What?
All right, any other, yes, ma'am?
What is the holdup? I mean, why we can't vote? I mean, if you already.
Well, we didn't craft a resolution or an ordinance for this. There's a draft ordinance up here, but we haven't really crafted a resolution here for this. So we can do that next time. I just wanted to have all the council here and us talk about it before we bring it up, because obviously it's something that obviously means a lot to Mr. Harmon, and obviously it means a lot to the city of Columbiana, one way or the other. Again, I don't think the city loses anything, that's my personal opinion, and does gain that right of first refusal to buy his property. Okay, we'll move on. So this was the draft ordinance. Okay. Was there any other city business for discussion? I don't think there was. Okay, anybody got anything else they want to bring up? Okay, we'll move on. Chamber Connections Luncheon is April 17th at the Grand Hall. It's the Student Teacher of the Year Awards. Allie, I was a little confused about what you put out today. Do we have, because they
We
had.
have a table.
We do have a tape, because they sent out a thing saying that it was all sold out or
Yeah.
whatever, booked up.
Yes.
And then you canceled it, and then you redid it.
Well, I did it
Wasn't
for
quite sure.
tomorrow somehow. when I-
Oh, is that what it was? It was the wrong
And so I
date.
looked and I was like, that's not the right date.
Because
So I
it's
had
at
to
Ole
resend
Miss,
it.
because it's at the Grand Hall, we always have a table.
What time is
Yeah.
it?
Well, I had talked to them a few weeks ago when it was filling up, and so I got.
Yeah, well, even though we have, yeah, whatever. Sometimes they'll come back to us and say, well, if you don't have anybody going, we need your table.
Yes.
Is it 11 or 11:30?
They'll eat lunch at about 11:30.
And I declined because I have online training those 3 days, so.
Is that-
I'll go.
Is that all Shelby County's
What day is
teachers
that?
of the year?
Yes.
K through 12, I guess?
Yeah,
17.
Because my family's been sick.
And they'll do like Alabaster and Pelham City courses.
They will do Alabaster and Pelham that day too.
yeah, because it's the chamber luncheon.
right.
It's not a Board of Education event, it's a chamber event.
Yeah, I can go Wednesday.
Excellent.
All right, so on May the 2nd, I'll be going to the 60th Annual Greater Birmingham Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. That's at the Harbert Center. There's actually a dinner the night before Kathy and I are gonna go to. You've already mentioned the National Main Street, I call it a convention, it's a conference technically, I guess that's at the BJCC. And then May 15th to 18th is the annual League of Municipalities Convention that's in Huntsville this year. Whoops, went on there. Announcements?
Alright, so last Saturday they had cleanup day and they did some planting. On April 20th, it is Touch a Trunk. On the last Saturday is the Liberty Day pageant, so that will happen then. You can still sign up for the pageant if you have not already. And then May the 5th is the tour of Columbiana from National Main Street.
So please don't throw in trash and garbage out in the roads. And if you see any, pick it up.
So Alice, say again, who's the band for Friday Night Liberty Day?
The Shimmer
Shimmer.
Band, sorry, I just almost said Shemizzle, I don't know.
For sure.
Mizzle.
And who is Saturday night?
Saturday night is Drake White.
Does he have an opening person?
He does have an opening person, and
But
his
you don't-
name is
I was gonna say, I forgot, you told me his
Eric
name.
Pasley. There
Okay.
we go. Is that how we pronounce it?
Is it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Sounds good to
If
me.
you Google him, he does have some, older songs that you'll recognize.
Okay. And this is getting ahead of, well, I'm really not getting ahead. Music on Main stuff
Music
started
on
booked?
Main is fully booked, and hopefully by the end, I'll have all those posters set up.
So how is Music on Main working this year? Is it gonna be, month of June like we always do, and
So
then
it
is
is
it gonna be the rest of
Every
the
Friday
summer?
night in June and July, except for Liberty Day weekend and the weekend of the 4th of July. They'll have Music on Main and the Farmers Market on South Main Street. So, they'll have real bands every Friday night. There won't be any unplugged. It'll be, like bigger bands each Friday night.
So
that'll be
is,
great.
my question is are we doing like we did last year, and a portion of it sponsored by Main Street and a portion of it
So
sponsored
this
by the
year,
city?
the city and Main Street and the Arts Council partnered together
Oh,
to be
outstanding.
able to provide music each Friday night. That way we could get some bigger bands, but it worked out, so that'll be great.
Well, that's
That
great.
is great.
Have all those names been communicated? I know I'm asking a lot of questions, I just don't know.
What's that? For
All the
Music on
band's
Main?
name, yeah,
Not yet,
okay.
so, I mean, I can tell you, but I'll have to look at the list.
I thought she was gonna say.
I'm
okay,
about to-
we
I
could
did
have
too.
to
I
shoot
thought
you.
that's what you were doing.
It's like, we're on camera.
All right.
Very secretive.
Just take your blood.
All right. Any other questions for Ally?
I got an announcement.
Yes, sir.
High school baseball team will be hosting first round, I think the 18th or 19th, Rick, is that correct?
It's the 19th, Friday night.
All right, so it'll be a home series for us, and baseball team got a pretty good team, so.
Excellent.
And I know we'll have a meeting next week, but just to put it on the calendar.
What,
Yeah,
what day of the
When is
week is
this
that?
That's a Friday night. They'll play 2 Friday night on the 19th.
The 19th of April.
19th, yeah, April.
Friday night, and
You say round one?
rest
First
round.
round. Mhm.
Can't believe it's already that time.
Me either.
Well,
So-
that-
You, 19th and 20th, or 18th and 19th?
19th and 20th.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
they'll- yeah, they-
18th to 19th
Yeah,
is the
it's,
first day.
they'll play 2 for sure on the 19th, and if they have to go to the third game, it'll be on the 20th, Saturday.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, any other announcements? Okay. Questions, comments? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to